It's in between. That means if your kids are listening, then you might want to turn it down because Richard's potty mouth is not getting bleeped this week.
And I've forgotten how to do a magic trick.
And Sean sucks at magic. So we have a few things we want to touch on pop culture-wise. We've not been together for a little bit, and we've not had a chance to talk about something. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the absolute major humongo news that Richard had this week. Tell the listeners what happened for you at Zeus.
Who came in?
Oh, I was like, I took a really good dump earlier. No, I mean, that was huge.
You just said that's a Sean line.
I know it's a Sean line. But
what are you doing?
I don't know.
You're the one that I usually look to when Sean starts out. I just focus on Richard.
I couldn't think of anything shocking to say. So we had comic book legend Rob Liefeld came into the store on Wednesday.
Creator
of Deadpool, Cable, Domino, X-Force,
Shatterstar.
One of the founders of Image Comics, went off to Youngblood over at Image Comics. He came back to Marvel Comics for a new book called Major X. It was a #1, and he came to my store and signed. And he was awesome. So how this basically unfolded is 1 week ago, he asked on Twitter, who is your favorite comic shop in Dallas, to his fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And one of my customers replied to him, and a couple of other stores' customers replied to him, and I noticed it, and I added him back, and I said, well, it's new comic book day. I don't know if this is for you or for a friend, but we got new comic books on the wall. If it's for something else, let me know. We're an Eisner winning store in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
He DM'd me pretty quickly, and we started a dialogue that he was going to be around and wanted to do a signing in Dallas for the release of Major X #1.
Nice.
So from Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, I had 1 week to put together a massive signing. And that means I had to find several hundred copies of his book to get into the store.
Right.
I mean, even though it was a release for the...
you were cleaning out Marvel stock, right?
Yeah, I basically... The book went to a second printing because I bought the rest of their stock.
Okay.
They were going to sell it anyway. But by Thursday morning, I had several hundred copies on the way to the store.
Okay.
And we ran some ads on Instagram and Facebook. We talked about it on Twitter. He retweeted it. And when he came to the store on Wednesday, he signed from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. He was there for 4 hours, and it was a 2 to 2.5 hour wait just to meet him.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, he had kind of a meteoric rise in the 90s. He was in a Levi or Lee's jeans commercial.
Yeah. He was on like talk shows.
Yeah.
Like when Youngblood #1 came out.
How old was he when he did all that stuff in the 90s?
Mid-20s?
Yeah, something like that. I think he's probably our age.
Our age.
Yeah.
So honestly, what I was expecting is I was expecting a industry veteran that had a meteoric rise, and I was expecting somebody to be a little bit of a diva. I was expecting kind of a thing. And he was the complete opposite of that.
Really?
He'd just done 3 conventions and was doing kind of this last pitch to promote the book. And he came in and he was just full of energy. And he spent so much time with every single person that was there. It was just such a nice, wonderful moment to have and to see.
Right.
And, whatever you think of comic book creators and whatever you think of their shining moment, this man really just put it all out there. And I was a fan before. Now I'm just a huge fan of his just because of how amazing he was with everybody that was there. We sold through pretty much every single copy that we had, and he signed every single one of those comic books for free.
Took pictures with people.
He took pictures with fans. I mean, it was amazing. It was really cool.
That's great to hear because I'll be honest, I'm not usually one of those people that really gives a crap about anybody signing it. I don't become enamored by that kind of thing. And that's when this happened and Sean said, are you coming down? I wanted to come, but I also had kid things. Like I can't come and I don't really know enough about him to worry about it. And plus, I always dread that moment of somebody signing going, thanks. And just, I don't, that ruins the illusion for me and I don't want that. So I'm thrilled to hear he wasn't that way.
When he and I had talked about it, and I've talked about it with other comic book guests and go, when you go to a comic book show, it might be just a little bit different than when you go to a store signing.
Okay.
When you go to a show that people have paid to get in, they kind of line up to go see guests. And yes, they are fans, but a lot of times there is I want something kind of a mentality at it.
Right.
This was definitely much more of a party. And so he wanted to make sure that everybody had a good time. And he really did take the time, and he signed copies of Major X for free. Now, if you brought something else to him, he would have charged his normal convention fee.
But everything that he was getting from the store, he was doing.
He was
for
signed
free.
for free, which is amazing, absolutely amazing.
So I have to ask this from a business standpoint. When you're doing that, is your store open for business as well? So these people, hopefully, that are standing around can spend money within your store as well.
We had hopefully we had a really good sales day.
Good
overall.
I don't mean to reduce it to dollars. I'm just fascinated by that.
There were some expenses put behind it, so I don't know if it was like a money making day, but it was definitely a good day. What I loved about it is that we do an online checklist system where people pick up their books they want on Sunday. And so when people were calling saying, hey, how do I reserve this book? I said, go use our checklist. And so I probably had about 40 people use
Learning
the checklist for the first time.
That's great.
That was great exposure. I would say at least a third of the people had never been to my store before that were in the store that day. So it was great exposure. Now, just by the nature of having a signing that large, you really couldn't shop in the store because there were so many people there.
It was, people against the walls.
It went from the back of the store to the front of the store, down the side of the store, all the way down the comic book wall, all the way outside. We haven't opened the back door so people go out into the alley.
So I'm curious in that situation. Let's say that I don't want his autograph. Can I come in and just shop?
Yes.
You can, but I had several customers that were like...
Because it was a Wednesday, so it was a new comic day.
I had several customers like, I pulled up, saw what was going on, and I drove off.
Yeah.
So I saw them on Thursday. Thursday was a good sales day, too.
But those are good customers they realize they're going to come back when they can't deal with it. I'm just curious about that new person that might come along and they're there for the first time and don't want it, or maybe just want to look and go, saw him and walked out, and they bought a couple of comics.
Well, I mean, if you'd walked in and saw how much time it was taking, you would not have you would have wanted to get in that line because you knew you would have gotten some quality time and not just what you said.
That's great.
Here's your comic book. Here's your comic book.
Right.
So, but this started because you had a bad experience at one point.
Yes, I did.
We were. Sean was showing us a comedy sketch, and there was a comedian on there, and you. There's
a comedian that I love. I've watched a lot of his stuff with other people and my wife and daughter, and it's been one of those that, when a bad day has occurred, we'll sit around and watch it, we'll giggle, and it kind of lets that tension go. The company that I work for did a big event in New York. This comedian was hired to ride around on a double-decker bus, and my job was to hook it up with cameras and capture his interactions where he's funny. And he could not have been a worse human being to be around. Now, we all have bad days. We all have days where we don't want to be there. However, it's just like I told you guys last night. I played a gig at a local brewery here last night. Yep. When I play that gig, I'm an employee of that place. Yeah. And I am, especially my band. My band played. I have 7 people, including myself, in this band, and they know I am not a hard ass. But when we're there, if you throw out diva shit, you go outside. You do not do that there. You are there to make these people drink more and have a good time.
Yeah.
I felt the same way with this comedian, that, that person's being paid. They should show up and you are gracious. You do your job. You're kick-ass. I know that we're all people. I know we have these things, but it's so disappointing when you find somebody and you think, wow, when I watch them here, they're so on. They're paid to be here, and I know it was not a small fee. They were paid.
Well, and that's why Rob impressed me at the signing, because I know with the 200 plus people that came to meet him, when he spent 3 and 5 minutes with every single one of the person, they're making the same jokes because they think they're original. They're asking the same odd questions that might be a tad too personal. They're asking for more than he's willing to give at times on what to sign and fees and things like that. So you have to be a professional. But you also have to recognize that these are the people that are then going to buy your work, continue going forward, and talk about you. So
on top of that, he had his son out there taking pictures for him.
And his son lives in this area, correct?
Nearby. He goes to school. Okay. But, I mean, to your point, when you have to interact with the public, you have to turn it on. You have to be somebody. And even if you realize you have to kind of separate that persona from who you are in real life, who you are in real life then becomes that private thing that you find that moment. I'm being paid. I'm at this gig. I got to be there. I'm an employee of the club.
Right.
I am now a personality. People expect to see me in a particular way. I'm going to be that person, knowing that in 3 hours I can shut it all off. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that he was not that person, the comedian you thought.
To that point last night, I had a few friends come out to this, and I really didn't advertise it. It's the first time this band's played anywhere, but there comes a point we play a song, and I had already told the band, we're going to play this, and it's a pop song, Do you remember the song 500 Miles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would walk 500.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever listen to that, that's actually kind of an Irish jig, and that's the way we play it. I have a banjo and a fiddle in the background, and I'm like, we're going to play it like an Irish jig, and it's an Irish drinking song. And if I don't get that whole crowd, and there were probably 50, 60 people sitting around just last night, and I was like, if I don't get them drinking, then I'm not done my job, because every one of them need to order another round of beers because they're so excited. The people weren't singing along with me, and I told them to sing along. So what I did, I walked off the stage, and I climbed on someone's table. And I'm in the middle of the club, and I was like, band, bring it down. And I'm singing without a microphone, and I got people up and doing it. That's what you do.
That's a good job.
And so other people are like, oh, my God, I never thought you'd be that. And Shelly, my wife, was like, yeah, you don't know him very well. When it's there, I will go wholesale, and I will just knock my ass out until I do my job. But then when you step off, you're your person.
Right.
It's a persona. And even I think when he steps in and he's signing that is a persona to an extent. My favorite songwriter of the whole world, Bruce Springsteen, says Bruce Springsteen, is not the Bruce Springsteen I am.
Right.
Because that's the persona I've created, and that's my art, and this is who I am when I'm away from it.
People, that is true. I mean, people, who I am in the store is largely who I am, but there's a different level of
you're a little bit on when you're
being more
working,
100% and me being more outgoing versus me who's a little more at home. I mean, when I'm there for 9 hours and it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night and I'm ready to go home, I kind of shut down. Like I don't.
Absolutely.
I'm not engaging. I'm not
Yeah,
saying I'm
you have to
boring,
be a persona within the store too, and people want to talk to you.
but everything has to come down.
Right.
I mean, there's definitely a point when people walk in the store where you have to all right, I'm who they need me to be right now.
Yeah.
Right? I'm whatever they want. And I cannot take my baggage and give it to them.
Right.
And they're going to walk into the store, and I have no idea what they've been dealing with either. And trust me, they're going to bring me their baggage from time to time.
Absolutely.
They're in a bad mood because they just lost their job. They're in a bad mood because they just got into a fight in the car. They're in a bad mood because their kid is acting up. They're in a bad mood because they got a flat tire. They're walking in elated because they have a brand new job and they want to spend some money. They there's all sorts of things that
everybody is fighting a secret battle that you don't know about. So be nice to everybody.
So when they walk in the store, that I cannot give them my stuff. I have to be, and I cannot take what they do. If I say hello to somebody and they don't say hello back, I can't take that.
You can't
person.
take it personally.
I'm like, I don't know.
Just last night, I had a guy, and this is inevitable when you're a musician. Some guy's going to come up and go, "I'm a bassist." Blah 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 blah. Everybody in that, every time you have an audience from a musician, somebody out there plays something. Now, whether you can play at the level we do or whether I can play at the level you do, I don't give a shit. But when that guy starts it, I'm like, really, dude, what'd you play, man? And I'm asking him questions, and I'm keeping him going. I'm like, hey, you know what? It's people, you do these kind of things. Then somebody comes up, oh, my God, you played this song. Well, you know what? It connected with me in the same way. You find these stories, you find these relations, and all you want, those moments, just like when you're at work, is you want to draw the people in and make them feel valued. And I'm not trying to be disingenuous, but you're playing a bit of a role, and it cathartically allows them to venture beyond it. Now, speaking of playing a role, we're gonna step into something you may not know that Sean and I experienced pop culture-wise, because it's party, it's playing a role, and it's music. It was the conclusion of the TV show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Did you know about Crazy
Have you watched
Ex-Girlfriend, Richard?
I've never watched Crazy
Oh,
Ex-Girlfriend.
it's so good.
No.
So on CW.
Is that the one that she plays music? Is it the one Kelly talks about?
It's
I don't
a musical.
know if Kelly talks about it, but it's a.
Does she
is-
sing songs?
It's original
Yes.
music.
Okay.
It's not. It's not Glee where they're doing covers.
Do it ended? How many seasons was it?
5.
Was it
5.
4 or 5?
5.
Okay. So
Was it canceled or did it just come to its natural
They
end?
ended it naturally.
They ended it naturally, but the network also kind of said okay, and they've been very supportive. Its first
Well, hang
year,
on,
it
it
won a
might have
gold.
been 4 seasons.
What
It
network
won.
is it on?
It was 4
CW.
seasons. Sorry, 4 seasons.
It was on CW. It won a Golden Globe the first year, which Golden Globes are full of shit, and they're usually bought, but still. It was a very clever show where this young lady is a lawyer. She sees her former high school
Crush.
Not even. It's not just a crush. They went summer camp
Yeah,
together.
they went to summer camp
crush.
together when they were kids.
And right away, it opens with this song when she decides to follow him without any provocation to West Covina.
She moved from New York to
And-
L.A., or not to L.A., but West Covina.
And it's literally written like a Broadway song. West Covina,
California.
to the point that at the end she's in an area that has a pretzel sign on it, and she literally rides the pretzel sign up with the camera, and it's shot beautifully. And then it becomes this dissection of
Mental illness.
Oh,
And
wow.
they actually tackle some of it, even to the point, my favorite song in the entire show is when she got her diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
It is just this over the top diagnosis thing, but really when you listen to it, the depths of what they're talking about from mental illness,
personal problems.
Yeah, it's like, wow. And they would touch on hip hop, they would touch on other things. They even did a La La Land kind of send up of one song. Well, the show ended, and it played with a lot of rom-com tropes.
Yeah.
And it was all about that she had 3 boyfriends and she couldn't decide between them. And if you've not watched it, then mute us for a second.
Okay,